Good afternoon, good day, good morning, good evening. Every parent and educator, also every adult around the child that is here present on this live session. Once again, my name is Akinropo Akinola. I'm a parenting development strategist. Then I have just one purpose, one aim, one objective that defines the mandate I am called to do, that I'm sent to do. And that aim is to help parents and every other adult around the child to increase the quality of parenting and the methodology of nurturing African children as well as families into greatness while maximizing their full potential. So that is just one mandate that I have, and I'm doing that vigorously with all my knowledge, with all my zeal to acquire more knowledge and to increase myself as well. So one of those things is the fact that I come here every Monday evening, 4 p.m. here in Nigeria to share my perspective about parenting. So today we have another topic, and that topic is African parents and social and emotional learning. African parents and social and emotional learning. So in the course of this meeting, you'll be hearing SEL. SEL. So what that means is social and emotional learning. That is what it means. Why do we need to have this conversation around this period? Like I wrote earlier on, sometimes ago, like last week, exactly last week, after I was done on this live session, the one that we had last week, and a teacher, just put a call across to me, was having a conversation with me about the kind of troubled experience they always have with students when they come back from holiday, and some of them are really on holiday now. So we got talking, and this teacher just said that why shouldn't, or rather, how can we help parents, develop social and emotional learning, in them, and at the same time transfer the same to the children. So that actually, intrigued me, and I discovered that the right time to discuss this topic is now, because most of these children are on holiday right now, and so that they won't give much problem, to the teachers, to the schools when they resume. So I believe that the lecture, this teaching on social and emotional learning is so critical and germane at this point in time. So I welcome everybody on board once again. So now, what is social and emotional learning? What is social and emotional learning? It's actually a process through which kids and also adults as well, acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to manage emotions, necessary to manage the way you feel about issues around you, then for you to set positive goals and for them to achieve positive goals. And this, they demonstrate empathy for others, they maintain positive relationship, and also social and emotional learning has the capacity to make them to make responsible decisions. That is exactly what social and emotional learning is all about. Adults, children, everybody needs this knowledge. Don't forget, I did say it's a process through which kids and adults can acquire and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to manage emotions, necessary to set goals and achieve positive goals, then demonstrate same towards having empathy for others and to maintain positive relationship, and also helps them also to make responsible decision. That is what social and emotional learning is all about. Why are we having this conversation? It's simple. We are having this conversation just for two reasons, and I'm going to explain here. One of them is the fact that most parents, they've allowed, thank you everyone that has joined. I won't be able to mention your name one after the other, but please accept my best wishes. I acknowledge you, I appreciate you, your time. I do not take it for granted, but because of the time allocated for this meeting, the service level agreement I have with people around us is 30 to 35 minutes, then 5 minutes for questions. So I'm sorry if I'm not able to mention your name, but I do acknowledge your presence and I appreciate the resources you are putting so far. So as I was saying, why do we need the knowledge of social and emotional learning for these children? Now they are in the house, they are with us at home. Some of them vacated last week, while some had vacated, some had resumed. Regardless of the time that this message means us, it is very, very timeless. It is timely and at the same time timeless, right? So we can make use of the knowledge that we have here. We can make use of them when we have our children at home with us, and at the same time, educators that who are watching now, they too can make use of the knowledge here. Fine. So I was saying that why do we have this conversation now? We need this conversation now because most of us parents, especially not educators now, most of us parents, we've outsourced the teaching of emotional intelligence, the teaching of social and emotional learning to the schools, to educators, even to teachers. At times, some of us parents, many of us parents have to employ some professionals to teach our children social and emotional learning. While I don't have any problem with that, but out of the three main approaches that discusses the teaching and effectiveness of social and emotional learning in children, one approach stands out. And that approach is the one that involves adults around the child to take charge. Let me say that again. I was saying that one of the reasons why many of us parents had outsourced, or rather, the reason why we are having this conversation is because many of us parents have outsourced the teaching of social and emotional learning to professionals to handle on our behalf. And I did say, out of the three approaches to teaching social and emotional learning to children, right, one approach stands out of those three approaches, and that approach is the one that involves parent and every other adult around the child to take charge of the teaching of social and emotional learning. So that is why social and emotional learning, it's not one of those ones that we can outsource, to professionals. Parents need to know what social and emotional learning is all about. Parents can't just sit down somewhere and employ professionals to handle the teaching of social and emotional learning. Do you understand? So like I did say, out of the three approaches, one approach stands out and it is adjudged to be the most effective approach. And that one is the one that involves adults, parents, to take charge of the teaching. Right? So the purpose of social and emotional learning is for us parents and educators to be timely in our methods, but timeless in our mission. Two purposes now that I'm explaining unto us. That one of the purposes is for us parents and educators to be timely in our methods and timeless in our mission. Then the second one is for us to be timely in our method of communication, but timeless in the content of the method of communication. Let me say that again, and I'm going to explain briefly what that means. One of the purposes is for us parents, especially right now. I'm not even talking about the educators. Educators have their own different content. So the content that we have today is for the parents. Now that We need to be timely in our method of communication, but timeless in our mission. How can we be timeless? How can we be timely in our method? This is what we are doing now. We are timely in our method. But how can we now be timeless in the mission? The timelessness in the mission dictates that whatever that we do now has the futuristic benefit. Whatever that we are discussing now does not stay here. It has the futuristic benefit. How does it have the futuristic benefit? By the time when I begin to discuss about the 5 critical steps for us parents to understand why social and emotional learning is so critical, is so germane to the way we raise up our children, we will know why the benefit has to be futuristic. That's number one. Then the second one is the method of communication style. Our communication style must be timeless. The timeliness in our communication style, but the content of our communication must be timeless. So, whatever communication style that we choose to talk to our children in any way they want to hear, because they say that if you want, people to listen to you, speak to them in a language, in the communication style they will understand. I believe that. While we are saying that, while we so much appreciate that notion, that is being timely, right? But the content must be timeless. For instance, if I say I want my children to grow with right value system, right? If I want them to grow with right value system, I won't be talking about the way they taught me value, how to appreciate value, how to grow with value while I was a child. One of those examples is this. They say, remember the son, the daughters of who you are. That was how they taught us value when we were young. Now, if I want to teach my children right value system now to grow with, it's not enough for me to tell them that remember the son of who you are, because they will query me that, Daddy, who are you? So, who am I? How do I explain who am I to my children? Because they have it in their mind that this is their dad talking to them, this is their mom talking to them. What has this man achieved? What kind of name does this man have? What kind of what level of attainment? Yes. What social level? What eminent level has my dad attained, such that I will remember who my dad is? But back in the days, they taught us that good name is better than riches, than gold, than everything. And we accepted it like that. We never queried them. So if I tell my children now that good name is better than riches and gold, they will ask me, Daddy, can you give me example of a good name? Do you have a good name yet? Those are the things they would ask. And that is why I said the communication style is going to be different, it's going to be timely, but the content is timeless. The content has to be timeless. So we don't need to mix all these things together. So that is two of the reasons, of the purposes why we need to teach our children the social and emotional learning. It has a lot of ways to improve the way they make responsible decisions in life. It has the way to improve the way, they have empathy on others. So now, when I did say that a teacher complained to me that immediately these guys resume back from holiday, they always having a kind of challenge because they don't know the kind of behavior that has come over them. And that is why I thought of it that today, let's discuss about social and emotional learning in our children. I thank you, everybody who has come on board. A great educator, Ronke Posh. Thank you, Madam Nofisat. Thank you, Nkechi from Instagram handle. Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Then on Facebook, like I did say, I may not have the time to, to appreciate, to mention our names, but I do appreciate you people coming on board. You're my family. So I thank you for that. Now, let's now go to the points, how we can actually, teach these guys the life skill, encapsulated in social and emotional learning. I have 5 areas to discuss about this, and I want us to listen. Most of these topics, the headings I'm going to be discussing about, it's possible we've heard them before now, but the examples given under them makes the difference. Makes the difference on how parents can actually, put this in a language, like I explained the other time, a communication style that these children will really listen, that will make them to know this is what the knowledge of social and emotional learning is all about. So 5 ideas to help parents apply social and emotional learning skills at home. 5 ideas. Let me give you 5 ideas about this. The number 1 is self-awareness. I know if any one of us has done any course around, emotional intelligence before, or you've heard people speak about emotional intelligence, or you've come across it online, you've read about it, you are familiar with self-awareness. But how does it apply? How can we trickle this? How can we funnel this down to a way, or like a communication style, to a language that these children will really understand? Because the problem with our children is not the problem of assimilation, not that they don't listen to us, not that they can't do it, but part of the problem is we have not always, all the time, chosen the right communication style to address the issues that concerns them. And that's why I have scaled this down to a level that parents can actually grab and discuss the skill around the social and emotional learning. How does self-awareness, how do we teach them this? Then this is the steps you get through, we go through. You have the whole family take an assessment. You have the whole family take an assessment like Strengths Finder. You can Google about this. It's an assessment for family, Strengths Finders. Then we have another one, the Big 5 personality test. What do this do? How do they help parents, right? This is what they do. Each family members should then share their results. When you have filled this, anyone you can choose, maybe Strengths Finder, or the Big 5 personality test, or even a value assessment. You can write all these things down. They are so germane in the way we want to raise our children, right? With the right value for them to develop, high level of emotional intelligence. Then each family, when they've done this, they feel this, they've responded to the question in there, then each family will now share the results among themselves. The dad, the mom, the children, they share the results among themselves. Then they talk about each of them. When they talk about each of them, bring this to table. Then how could you better leverage each person's uniqueness as a whole family? How can we really leverage the uniqueness of ourselves as a whole family? E.g., perhaps the person with the highest openness to experience, in their personality should help to plan the next family vacation. Hear this. From the result, of any of the tests that I explained about, right? The person with the highest openness to experience has the propensity, right, to do what? To plan the next family vacation. The family vacation, I hope we all know, it's not about, having to fly, through the sky all the time. If you have the money, fine. If you don't have the money, it's okay. Family vacation could actually be within your community, within the location. So bear it in mind. The result of those things that you have run would go a long way in determining each family's self-awareness. It's not enough to just say that you need to know yourself, the self-awareness, you know yourself, you need to know the surroundings. This is a simple tool for you, for us as a family, to master our self-awareness. Then the second one, which is self-management. Have the whole family think about an area of their life that is important to them. Which area of my life is important to me as the dad in the home? Which area is so important to my wife? Which area is so important to my elder child, to my younger son? Which area is so important? When we master all those ones, this is what we're going to do. Each person should now describe the area and share with the family why they don't feel they are always as disciplined as they could be. You know, in those areas, it's possible we are not so disciplined in them. Let me cite one example. Our children could actually be brilliant, in their studies. They could be A students, in their studies. But in another area, there could be something that I call value deficient. They may not know how to do home chores. They may not know how to respond, how to greet people. It is not a problem. It's because we've not taught them self-management. And let me now discuss what this will do. Right? Each person should describe the area and share with the family why they don't feel they are always as disciplined as they could be. The next one will now be identify 3 things you can do daily to become disciplined in that area. Write these things down, right? Commit them in front of the whole family to practice those 3 things. Now we've identified all these things as in self-management in areas that we are strong, areas that we are not strong, areas that we've been disciplined, areas that we've not been so disciplined. Write them down. Then going forward, how do you want to improve in these areas that you lack discipline, right? So the next one that we do, the first one is self-awareness, self-management. Then the third one is social awareness. Watch a documentary together about a social issue that kids don't know much about. Watch a documentary. This is critical. The reason why these guys are lacking social and emotional learning is because we don't watch documentary together with them. We don't watch documentary together with them. I'm going to send to us a documentary that is so germane that can teach our children social and emotional learning. We watch this together. But let me now tell us what this would do to them. What this the documentary that we watch together, what it will do to them, it will teach them about 4 things. It will teach us 4 things. Let me explain. Because the goal, don't forget, when we want to watch all this documentary with them, we must be able to filter the documentary we want to watch, that it has to be age appropriate. I think it's better I mention that before I move to the next stage. It has to be age appropriate. You know what I'm talking about, right? So there are 4 goals in watching this documentary together with them. The first goal is to build empathy for the people you see on screen and the issues or injustice they are facing. When we watch a documentary together, tell them to pay attention to anyone facing injustice and ask them, what can they do if they were in the right position to save the person? That is number 1. Second one is afterward, discuss what life looks like from this person's perspective. What life looks like from this person's perspective, what is it? Discuss it with them and let them give you responses. That's the second one. The third one that I wrote here, what issues are they facing that you were not aware of before now? When you watch the documentary together, we've scaled the number one, then the benefit, then the second benefit. From there, the third one will now be, what are the issues that these guys are facing that we are not aware of? Unknowingly, you see, they will let us know inadvertently. They will just say it. By the time they see someone that is being dealt with unjustly in a documentary that you watch together, that may remind them of any injustice that we have done to them, or the injustice that they've done to themselves, or the injustice that their friends outside has done unto them. That is the third one. Then the fourth one, what will change about your life now that you have this new perspective? Now that we all have this new perspective on how to treat people, what will this now change in our life? How are we going to view the new perspective that we just gained? Right then, how will this change the way we see others? How will this change the way we see others? This is what we have seen. The first one is self-awareness, self-management, and social. Second one, self-management. Then the third one, social awareness. How we can help our children develop social and emotional learning skills. Then the fourth one, which is, we all believe, relationship building. Relationship building. What does this, how does it help? What does it do to our children? On a piece of paper, please, we may need to be writing all this down. On a piece of paper, have each member of the family develop a list of people that are part of their emotional support network. Wow. Nobody ever taught me this. While I was growing up, nobody called me to a round table and began to discuss something like this. On a piece of paper, have each member, including the father, the mom, the children, write out list of people that are part of their emotional support network. This is great. Assign the following roles to the list of people. Only one role per person, right? The first role is heroes, people you look up to and admire. On a sheet of paper, the same sheet of paper on the left, on the first column. Then the second one, role models, people who do what you like to do in life. Then another list, mentors, people who coach you and support you. The inner circle, people who are closer to you and who are like family. The mentees, people who learn from you. Partners, people that you hang out with and hold you accountable. Are there any gaps? Are there people who are part of this network who you need to reconnect with? This is such a great structure. Let me explain to us how I came about this content. I read about this guy's biography, Rafael Nadal. This is one of the aspects that his dad used employed to mentor this guy right from when he was age 2. The dad built this support system around him. It was after they've done this that the guy was able to choose at age 12 lawn tennis over football, because the guy believes that he has more role models, right, in lawn tennis than he has in football. Then again, he believes that in Spain there is a gap. The gap is they don't have more lawn tennis players as they have more footballers. If any one of us has been following the world football, you know that Spain in the last 40 years, and they've been 30 years, they've been so consistent in the world football. So Nadal saw that he believes that he will have more mentees if he opted for lawn tennis, and that is why he opted for it. This is relationship building. This is part of what we build empathy in our children. They have feelings for others. Immediately you feel that, okay, I'm looking up onto somebody. Then again, what can you do? that will make some people coming behind you to look up onto you. And the guy chose lawn tennis ahead of football because he wanted a new terrain that many younger kids in Spain are not familiar with. That is relationship building. Then the last one, which is responsible decision making. Responsible decision making. This is what many of our teenagers, who are mostly Generation Z, are lacking. About 4 weeks ago, I discussed something about personal success, that we sent survey out that top on the elements that define their existence in life, ahead of faith, ahead of family, ahead of relationship, is personal success. Personal success without responsible decision-making skill is almost nothing. And it's nothing. And I did say, when all these things are lacking, two things will happen. One, that personal success leave them early enough, right? Or the personal success killed them spiritually and physically. If they lack the responsible decision-making skill, what do we do? How do we help them achieve this? Grab a headline from your favorite local news source. When I say local news source, I'm not talking about the social media that we see around. I'm not talking about, all those ones, the soft sell magazine. That's what I'm talking about. We still have hard copy newspapers. We still have some notable names that are responsible. Grab them, right? The story should suggest a challenge your community is facing that does not have an obvious or agreed upon solution. So when you grab a newspaper, now, like I'm grabbing this paper, encourage them to go through. When they go through it, look for a challenge. Look for any area where a community is lacking social amenities, where a community is lacking quality leaders, where a community is lacking quality development, no infrastructure, no nothing in those communities. You grab it, let them look at it themselves. Then the question will now be, you are challenging their thinking. You are challenging, when we do that, we challenge their thinking, right? This is how it will rub off on them. Then how will they evaluate the options before them? Then challenge the kids to think about how they will make decisions if they were in charge. This is one of the best decisions I have decided I've been doing even before I came into this parenting ministry exactly 10 years ago. Before I came into it, I've always been challenging my kids that even when they were much younger, that, okay, this is the challenge we have in this country, Nigeria now. What would you do differently? That is giving them responsible decision-making skills. Now, how would they evaluate the options before them? Then, who would they consult? If you are in this position that you want to fix the problem of PHCN in Nigeria, the problem of road network, the problem of research institute, because that is one of the problems that we have in Nigeria. We don't have more of institutes that are basically doing research works. We need to do research, access the research of other countries, then we adapt it to our own. We now use that to send the ones that we want to do. We just follow the style, we follow everything, but we don't have much of these institutes that are basically doing this. And this is what our children can do. Then how would they decide between the options given? What values drove their decision making? When they say that this is what I'm going to do, what value behind that decision that they've taken? So they must know. And where did those values come from? Who taught them the value? Let me cite one example. Many of us have been talking about the collapse of educational system, collapse of family and parenting, collapse of almost all spheres of influence in Nigeria is collapsed. And that is one of the basic things that parenting and family is called out to do to fix this, all these spheres of influence, because parenting and family is the coordinating hub for other spheres of influence. Nothing works until parenting and family has worked. So that is why we are doing what we are doing now, for a better society. So we ask them, where did they get those values? What drives the value behind the decision they have decided that they want to take? These are the 5 steps I believe parents can walk through in the way they want to help the kids, the students that are at home now, learn social and emotional learning skill. It is so important. Let me run us through it again. The first one is self-awareness. How does it help? I did say that let us, all the family members, let us engage ourselves in this personality test. Let us engage ourselves in this personality test. Once we have it, then we'll be able to know who has a higher strength in a particular area or lower strength. So that will make us to make a right decision in everything that we want to do, in everything that they do as well. Then the second one is self-management. Then in self-management, I spoke about each person does what, should describe the area and share with the family why they are always not disciplined. And I mentioned that it is possible some of our children are so disciplined, concerning their studies. Nobody reminds them when to read. They know when to read. But when it comes to other areas, maybe like home chores or greeting people or trying to relate with people effectively, they are lacking in that area, right? So, write them down. Then we ask them, write those things down. Then we ask them, how do you want to be improved going forward in this area, right? Then the next one is social awareness. That is where I made mention that we should watch documentary together. After now, I'm going to send a movie to us, on Netflix. I'm going to send it. It's going to be here. I'm going to post it on my social media handles. We can watch it. The purpose of watching this, look for the most vulnerable person in that movie, documentary. Who is that person that has been unjustly denied of many things that every other person enjoyed in the movie? Who is that person, right? Then, when you know the person, the goal is for you to build empathy, for us to build empathy for the people in that screen, for the people in that area. Then the second one is afterward, discuss what life looks like from the person's perspective. What life looks like from the person's perspective, right? Then the third one, which is C, what issues are they facing that we are not aware of? Either the movie character that we have watched or the ones our children are facing. Because when we watch this will bring out a lot of things that they've bottled up in themselves. Then the D, that is the fourth one. What would they change about the life situation now that they have the new perspective? How will this change the way they see others? The way they see our drivers, the way they see the gatekeepers in their school, the way they see gatekeepers in their estate, the way they see our domestic staff. How will they begin to see them going forward? Then relationship building. I said they should write in paper. Every member of the family develop a list of people that are part of their emotional support network. Then in this part of emotional support network, they write their role models, they write their mentors, they write their mentees. And I did say this is one of those things that this guy did that made him to choose lawn tennis ahead of football. Rafael Nadal, his dad ran him through something like this, and the guy was able to choose. The guy believed that he's seen many mentors in his front, and at the same time, he wants to build many mentees. And today, this guy has the biggest, if not the second biggest, tennis academy in the world. This guy has it in Spain because of what his father ran him through when he was at tender age. This is what this guy is doing greatly in the world. Then the last one is responsible decision making. Get a newspaper, local newspaper. What is the major challenge that the country is facing? What would they do differently? When they grow up with this mentality, they know how to fix the nation Nigeria. I always ask myself, most of the politicians that we see today, most of the leaders we see in all spheres of influence today, 40 years ago, all of them were once children. 80% of them were once children. What were their parents? What were the educators? What were the adults around them teaching them? Ever wondered why we have many of our leaders today who lack empathy, who lack social and emotional learning, because they were bereaved of these things that we are teaching now? We don't want our children to begin to cast aspersion against us 40 years when many of us must have left. We don't want our own grandchildren to begin to ask, to begin to query their parents, who are mostly our children now, that what did they teach you? The way we are asking, what the leaders that we have now, what social emotional intelligence did they learn when they were children from their respective parents? So I've come to the end of today's meeting. I want to thank everybody who has joined this meeting. Now, don't forget, the purpose of social and emotional learning is to help our children, among other things, to have the skill to decide responsibly, to have the skill to have on how to have empathy, to have the skill on how to build self-awareness, social awareness, self-management in everything they do, such that parents and school owners and educators will be on the same page about anything that is happening or that has happened to their children, right? And don't forget, let me say this. I always say this every time I have the opportunity to come on board, whether here or even I have the opportunity to speak to any parents. Please, now that most of our children are at home, let us get a separate book. Open a new chapter. Let us begin to watch their behaviors right now. Let us begin to watch their behaviors. Now that they are on holiday, it's possible they must have adjusted, and it's possible they must have gotten another behavior, from the street. Let us document everything. When we document everything, on the day they are resuming, please hand over that thing you have documented to their teacher. You have not done anything bad. Let the children know that you want to do that. It's not about reporting them. It's about you telling the teachers that this is something new I've experienced about this guy, and this is what I have done to correct this malady. So please take this in case you see any of this still manifesting in his life that they just resumed. Please write your own report and let me know, so that the teachers and the parents will be on the same page on how to build social and emotional learning skill in our children. We work in collaboration. We are not working in a way to outsmart anyone, or maybe parents wants to pass the buck to the teachers, or the teacher wants to pass the buck to... No, that is not the motive. The motive is to collectively build, in this aspect, social and emotional learning on our children. So I want to simply appreciate everyone who has come on board again. So next week, I come with another topic. Everything is around our children, around educators, are mostly around parents. And that is the main concern of Legacy Hut with Akinropo. Today, we just finished episode 50. Thank you. Please catch up with me on Ovation International Television, where many topics are being discussed. Ovation International Television is on our TV decoder. It's a one payoff. Once you just pay, you get it installed. There is no monthly subscription. It's just once and for all. But the good news is, in the next few weeks, Ovation is going to be on our devices, that we don't even need to stay on TV again to watch all those things is on the go. That is the level that Legacy Hot with Akinroko on Ovation International Television is going right now. See you next week once again. Please don't forget, I am going to post a movie. I've forgotten the title now. I've sent the message to my daughter now to send it to me. She first watched it. So I'm going to send it on to us so that we can equally watch it. Thank you. God bless you. If there is any question, I'm not going to wait to take the questions. So please just post these questions. Then I will respond to them effectively after now. Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Foluke Amowurare from Facebook. Thank you, Madam Fumi Odimayo. Thank you, Olasumbo Afolabi. Wusu Afolabi. Thank you, Mrs. Olariwaju Fatoba. I appreciate you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Posh. Madam Posh, thank you from Instagram. Thank you, Madam Ikechi. Thank you, Leading with Kemi. Thank you, Mrs. Ronke Giwa. John Pelumi. Thank you, Feintola of Lagos. Thank you for joining. Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Bye.